All right, so this is section 5 of the review, which is modeling exponential functions. So if we go ahead and look at 3 and 4, number 3 says the half-life of caffeine is 5.7 hours. So that tells us when we're making our equation, right? The half-life means that inside is that 1/2. And then if it's whatever the half-life is going to be x divided by that value. So whatever the time is going to be divided by that 5.7. So assume you consume a 5-hour energy drink, which contains 200 milligrams of caffeine. So the 200 is that initial amount. So that goes in the front of our equation. And so then this is really our function here, right? If we think about how we write an exponential, right? That initial amount goes here, what it's changing by goes here, and then the x represents the time that it's happening. So it says how much caffeine will be in your system at 10 a.m. So if at 7 a.m. is when we started, 10 a.m. means that x is 3, or x represents 3 hours. So that means that x value, right, we're going to do 200 times 1/2 of 3 divided by 5.7. So in my calculator, right, we'll just type that in. 200 and then 1/2 to the 3 divided by 5.7. And you want to make sure all of that stays in the exponent this time because that really is the exponent over here. So we get 138.87 grams or milligrams of caffeine is left in our system. So now it says how long until the caffeine level in your body is below 10. Right, so now this one, it's not giving me x. I want to find x when the amount left in my system is 10. So this is really now this equation, and I'm going to have to solve for x. So this is in our solving exponential section would tell us first we need to get the piece that's being raised to the exponent by itself. So I'm going to start by dividing by 200. If this was to give us a yucky decimal, we might want to just leave it as a fraction. In this case, 10 divided by 200 is 0.05. But if it's too many decimals for you to write down, then I would just keep the fraction because you can type in an ugly fraction when you're solving for the log piece. So just keep that in mind. So now I would rewrite this as a log, which would tell me that log base 1/2 of 0.05 equals x divided by 5.7. So to solve for x, right, I'm going to multiply both sides by 5.7. So it would be 5.7 times log of 1/2, log base 1/2 of 0.05. And then that piece we're just going to do in our calculator. So you could do the log first, then multiply by 5.7, or you could do 5.7 times. Then we hit the math button, go down to log base, and then we say 1/2 is my base, 0.05. So I get 24.634, but I want less than 10, so I'm going to really round up here, and I'm going to say after 25 hours, it's going to be less than 10. I get that decimal 24.63, but that's actually when it's exactly at 10. So I want a value after that to represent it being below 10. All right, so then if we look at number 4 together, this is a compound interest question. So it says, how much money do you need to invest if you need $15,000 in 5 years if I can earn 2% interest compounded quarterly? So remember that equation is P times 1 plus R divided by N to the NT. So I want to end up with $15,000, so that's my A value. It's asking me how much I need to invest. So that's that starting amount or that principal. And then my rate is 2%, which is 0.02 as a decimal. And then I'm compounding quarterly. So N is 4. So I divide by 4. And then I'm doing this for 5 years. So I get that this is 5 as well. So this kind of problem, these compound interest questions, you can solve for kind of a multitude of things. Sometimes we know sometimes we're figuring out how much money we have. Sometimes we're figuring out how long we need to invest for. So there's kind of different pieces, and you just kind of have to follow what you know about this information. And I know I'm solving for P, and all of this is just being multiplied by P. I could figure out what this number is, and then I'm going to take this divided by that. So if we think we're going to do, in parentheses, 1 plus 0.02 divided by 4, that's this part, raised to, the 4 times 5 is 20th power. I get this value here. So I get 15,000 equals P times 1.10489. And it keeps going. So I know that I have to divide both sides by that number. So I'm going to take 15,000 and then I'm going to say divided by and go highlight this number so it carries all the decimals with me. It's going to give me a more accurate answer. If you round too early, you're going to get a different answer because you've cut off decimals that could give us money or give us more value later. So we really want to copy and paste as many decimals as we can. And so then when I divide, it tells me, right, that P is $13,575.94. So we would have needed that much money as our P value to make 15,000 at the end. All right, so you can try the other 4 on this page and then look at Schoology for the answers.